Despite what the game may present itself as on the surface to someone unfamiliar with the source material, Cyberpunk 2077 is not futuristic Grand Theft Auto. Yes, Cyberpunk is an open world game set in a city that can be your personal playground if that's what you want, and you'll spend a lot of time mowing down enemies, but when this game truly shines is when the bullets stop flying and it's just the main character V, one-on-one with someone in the world. You see, at its core, Cyberpunk 2077 is a game really about people trying to live and get by in a broken futuristic world. The planet Earth has been ravaged by wars and corporations exploiting the common people for profit. Night City, where the game takes place, is a supposed city of dreams where everyone wants to live, yet gangs run the streets and corporations control everyone and everything with an iron fist. Homicides sometimes reach up to 50 a day, and dying peacefully of old age in your bed is seen as a miracle. Yet despite all this, it's a haven compared to other places in the world. Throughout your adventure in Cyberpunk, you meet dozens of people all trying to get by in this unforgiving city in their own way. And that's what kept me coming back for over 70 hours I spent with the game. This is part of the course for CD Projekt Red, as this was also one of the best things about The Witcher 3. You could get lost in side quests for dozens of hours because the stories, like the now infamous Bloody Baron questline, were just as gripping as the main story, and Cyberpunk is full of stories just as good as the Bloody Baron quests. Let's take the first major character you meet, Jackie. Jackie on the surface is your typical loud and brash best friend that accompanies the main character. But if you do a quest relating to him, you not only get to know and understand what drives him, but many of his actions that you didn't think much of make much more sense. For example, early in the game, V and Jackie infiltrate the base of one of the major gangs in Night City, Maelstrom. There's various ways to tackle this mission, but if you start off with the diplomatic route, you get an audience with the gang to buy something off of them. Tensions run high as soon as the meeting starts because Jackie refuses to sit down and talk, preferring to stand. It's then up to you to calm him down and have him sit so business can move forward. At the time, you have no reason to think more of this interaction other than Jackie making things harder for you to look tough. But you later find out via a side mission that when he was 19, Jackie was shot 3 times near the heart by a Maelstrom gang member and almost died as a result. Thus explaining why he not only was uneasy about the diplomatic meeting with Maelstrom in the first place, but why he was so unwilling to sit and let his guard down. During this same side mission, you also learn why Jackie yearns to be a top mercenary in the city, and why during the big heist mission he was so adamant to succeed and make it to the big leagues of Night City. Throughout the heist mission, V notices that Jackie is a little off. He's more tense than usual and keeps making side comments about how he has to succeed and make a better life for himself. You see, you later learn that Jackie grew up with an abusive father that would physically beat him and his mother. Couple this with on top of growing up in the streets of such a deadly city, to say Jackie was determined to make something of himself is an understatement. But it's the way it's conveyed that makes him such a good character, and the way it's conveyed is that it's believable. Jackie's story is one you can easily find in our world and one that can resonate with many people. And Jackie, like every single character in this game, has one very important thing that makes them so engrossing. They're flawed. Night City in the world of Cyberpunk as a whole corrupts, breaks, and brings out the worst in people, sometimes out of necessity. And there's no character in the game that better exemplifies this than the poster boy of Cyberpunk 2077 himself, Johnny Silverhand. Keanu Reeves playing Johnny Silverhand was a big selling point of this game. He was featured in commercials, trailers, and behind the scenes looks. Even if you only followed the game very loosely prior to release, you knew that Johnny Silverhand played an important role in this game. And I've seen firsthand how many people went into the game blind and were legit shocked at how much of an unapologetic asshole he is. Your first time meeting him face to face is very intense and leaves quite the impression for better or worse.
See you never, asshole.
Now like that! Stick some iron in your mouth and pull the trigger. I can feel it. Our minds touching. I'm like mold on fruit, creeping into you. Nothing I can do about it. You hear me? I'd puke if I fucking could. It's just a copy of the engram. I'm out there somewhere. Gotta be.
Leave me alone. Get out! Just get the fuck out!
Lead to the head, only thing can fix this. Hear me, asshole? A bullet to the fucking brain!
Fuck me.
Johnny is a complicated character. On the surface, he's not what you consider likable, and what you know about his past prior to getting to know him can paint him in a pretty bad light. He openly admits to V that he was aware even the people he considered friends couldn't stand being in the same room as him, but that's what made me want to get to know more about him. I wanted to know why this guy was so angry at the world and what made him tick. To dive a little into Johnny's history, he was originally a soldier for the US military that eventually deserted after he found out what the war he was fighting in was really for. He became jaded with the world and corporations that ran it, sparking a new rebellious flame in him. He then started up a band called Samurai, who played music with a rebellious, anti-corporation message to it. Samurai's music was so influential that it started an entire movement, and Johnny himself rose to stardom. Despite this success, Johnny wasn't satisfied and wanted to hit the corporations even harder. This and the kidnapping of his girlfriend at the time led Johnny to planning and setting off a nuke at the Arasaka Corporation's headquarters in Night City. Shortly after this event, Johnny was captured and killed by Arasaka, who copied his personality and memory onto a chip before disposing of his physical body. Over 50 years later in the present time, Johnny wakes up in V's head and has to see the aftermath of his actions. A lot can change in 50 years, and unfortunately for Johnny, many things can also stay the same. You see, Johnny wanted to make a difference in the world, stop the corporations from sucking the life out of the common people, and his powerlessness in his life is what pissed him off to no end. People coined him a revolutionary, but screaming into a microphone wasn't enough to him deep down. All the drugs, sex, and lashing out at everyone around him was a result of a man full of rage and bitterness. And the part that makes it all the worse, the part that made me feel genuine sympathy for Johnny, is that in the present day, Johnny realizes nothing he did mattered. I want you to really think about that for a second. Our time on this earth is very limited. Many of us want to be remembered for something long after we're gone. A way to cement our legacy in history, to say that despite my short time on this planet as ever moving forward, I was important enough to make a difference in some way. And far too few of us ever achieve that. Imagine dedicating your life to trying to make the world a better place, to putting a stop to an oppressive force and give people back true free will. Imagine dedicating your life to this and having to push away everyone that cares about you, or even killing innocents so that the ends can justify the means of your actions. Imagine doing all of this, waking up 50 short years into the future, only to see that nothing you did mattered. Barely anyone remembers your name, the oppressive force controlling everyone is more powerful than ever, and your actions have had no real lasting consequences in the grand scheme of things. That is the reality of Johnny Silverhand. There's a specific powerful scene in a side quest where this really hits home for both you the player and Johnny. Johnny finds out where his physical body was buried and wants to go visit it. After V arrives, there's nothing there. No grave marker, no flowers, nothing to let you know a once living, breathing human being with dreams and aspirations is buried there. And this really bothers Johnny. But in a great case of show don't tell storytelling, Johnny doesn't say any of this to you up front. Instead, you can just see it in his body language, the uncharacteristic loss for words and exasperation in his voice. It's probably the most visibly shaken you ever see him throughout the entire game, and it's a favorite scene of mine that I know is gonna stick with me.
Nothing here at all.
What did you expect? Headstones, flag, and flowers?
No, I don't know. A marker. Something. Anything.
Johnny and Jack here are just two great examples of the strong characters and stories found throughout Cyberpunk 2077. I could talk about Johnny's old bandmate Carrie, who has to face the dilemma of being a famous rich corporate sellout, or a broke but free musician, or Delamain, an AI whose side quest line is full of hilarity, but often real questions on what it means to be alive and how far science should go in the creation of free-thinking AIs. There's so many good characters in this game, and getting to know them and experience their stories was one of my biggest joys of any game in recent memory. If you play the game, I want to know down in the comments what characters or stories touch you the most. And if you haven't played Cyberpunk yet, I hope this video swayed you in considering picking it up. If you liked the video, I greatly appreciate you sharing it with your friends, leaving a like, and if you want to see more of me, subscribe. My goal for 2021 is to hit 5,000 subscribers, and I know we can make it happen. Thanks guys, I'll see you later.